Welcome to the first video tutorial brought to you by Made Simple. Today we will be talking about the basics of Excel. Honestly, Excel is such a crazy powerful tool that can be used and applied in just so many countless ways. You can use it for business purposes, for data analysis or scheduling, or even for personal use to create a budget and track spending habits. Just an overall great tool that everyone should know how to use. Alright, so today we'll be going over the basic navigation and entry functions in Excel. So first, let's get a little bit more familiar with this program. So opening up Excel, you'll be brought to this screen. You can see blank workbook and a few other options here. Clicking on more templates brings you to all the pre-made templates Excel has ready for you to use, such as a personal budget, a photo calendar, a loan calculator, and so on. However, today we're just going to be using just opening up a blank workbook. Alright, so here you can see different menu tabs you have access to. You have the File tab, which brings you the Save option, which we all know to be, pretty important. Menu, Insert, Draw, and so on. These menu tabs just help you to bring you to different options within Excel. So within this worksheet, you're made up of columns and rows. Each letter represents a column and each number here represents a row. And if you notice, wherever I click, a little black box forms, right? So each one of these is called a cell. So for example, if I click here, this specific cell or input box is found in column C, row 3, or C3 indicated here as well. And that's like a super critically important thing to know in Excel. It actually makes it a little bit more exciting. You should also know what a range is. So if I click and drag here, I highlight all these specific cells. So a range is a group of cells. Down here you'll notice it'll say sheet 1. So this indicates our worksheet that is within our entire workbook, right? So if I hit this plus sign, I can create new worksheets within the workbook. But we'll just stay in sheet 1 for this tutorial. Alright, so for this tutorial, let's say you wanted to better track your weekly grocery spending. Alright, so we can, by double clicking on this sheet, we can rename it. So let's type weekly grocery spending. And we'll also go click here on cell B2, type that as well, just to give it a little title. Alright, so for our weekly grocery spending, let's say we want to know what we bought, what the price was, where we bought it, and how many of that particular item we bought. So let's just do some simple data entry here. By clicking on a specific cell, you can type, right? So let's say what we bought, and by hitting the enter key, it'll enter that information and bring me to the cell below it. If I were to type this, if I were to go up here to cell C3, and I were to type, well, we also want to know the price at which we bought it, but if I hit the tab button instead, it'll enter that information but move me to the cell adjacent to the right. So what, the price, where we bought it, and let's do the quantity, right? Alright, so let's say we'll go down to here, cell B4, we bought some eggs. And they cost $5. We got them at Walmart. If I can spell. And we bought 2 dozen. Alright, so that's our information. I'm going to go ahead and enter some more information here to add a little bit of data. But I'll pause the video and then come back with information. Alright, so coming back, we have a little bit more information here. Throughout the week, we also bought bread, milk, cheddar cheese, and we bought a lot of it, right? $50 worth of cheese from Target. Alright, so Now that we have the information inputted, we can do a little bit of formatting to make it look a little nicer and easier to read, right? So weekly grocery spending, that's our title. So let's say we want that to span across here. It's important to note as well that here it looks like weekly grocery spending is in cell B, C, well, it's in column B, C, and D. However, it is only inputted in column B, row 2, right? So this specific cell contains weekly grocery spending, but cell C2 and D2 do not, right? So a way that we can make this look a little bit better is if we click here and drag across and we hit merge and center, that'll create one individual cell for this column length. So weekly grocery spending is in one specific cell. It's considered cell B2, but it spans the length of BCD of columns C, D, and E. But it is important to note that this is just one cell, not 4. So let's say we want to bold that, typical Word. If you're familiar with Microsoft Word, typical Microsoft Word skills here, bold that. Let's say we want to increase the font to 28, let's say. Oh, that's a little big. Let's try 18. And when you do that, you'll notice that this row also changes in width, which we'll kind of go over in a little bit here. But also something to notice is that when we're looking at this cheddar cheese, I mean, you can see it right here, but you can't really read it when you're not within the cell. So a way to make it so you can see everything is by going up top in between the letters or in between the columns. You see how my mouse changes? By clicking that and dragging across, I can change the width of each specific column. So there, I want cheddar cheese right there. And then you also notice Albertsons is a little cut off as well. Another way to auto size this is by going up here, and instead of dragging, you can just double click and it will go to the width of the longest input text within this specific column. And same can apply for the rows and vice versa, right? So now that they're all kind of up to width, let's center these. We want them a little centered. Let's say we want this bolded. So it's looking a little bit better. This is a little cut off. Let's increase that. And another interesting thing, so instead of going around and let's say that I had everything was kind of cut off in these cells, what I can do is drag and highlight all of these columns, and I can double click here and it will auto fit according to each column's length, which is kind of nice. Instead of manually dragging each one over, I can just highlight this, double click, and it auto sizes. All right, so we have this information. Let's say, all right, so now we have this a little formatted, but something we notice is here at the price, there's no $sign, and I don't know, maybe that'll be a little confusing. So a way to change that, if I want to change the format of a specific text, or if I want to change something as a number, I can click and drag. So I highlight these cells to create this range, right? And I can go up here, click this drop down, and I can set specific formats to that input, right? So we want this to be currency. So we click on currency and it will change everything into dollars. And another interesting thing is if we go up here, this will increase or decrease the decimal of the highlighted range we're in. So if we want to decrease the decimal, we'll take one decimal away and automatically round up. So you notice 229 rounded up is 2.3, right? And we can do that, or we can add decimals if you're going into something with lots of decimals, right? So this is just a quick tool to round up, very, very useful. All right, so now that we're here, we kind of have it looking a little bit better. Let's say we want to add a border. around this to make it look more, to stand out. So let's highlight this specific cell. Remember, this is just one cell now. And if we go up to this box here, we can add different borders. So let's say that we want a thick outside border there. And then we're going to highlight this range here. And we want, let's say, all borders. All right, so there, it's looking a little bit better. But let's say we want to make the whole outside a thick outside border, right? So looking a little bit better, more distinguished, it's kind of easier to read. But it does seem a little close together. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight these rows here, not the cell, but we're going to highlight these rows, and we're going to make them all a little bit longer. So by highlighting all of them and dragging, all of them will auto-size to as far as I drag, right? And these are a little bit below the line, so let's highlight this range and type up here to center them. All right, so there we have our weekly grocery spending. We kind of know how much we've spent, where we bought it, the quantity, and what we purchased. Correct. So that'll be just kind of a quick tutorial on the basics. And just wrapping up, we kind of learned the differences between the columns and the rows, how to adjust those, how to merge cells. How to change the formatting of specific inputs, and simple things like that, how to add a border and stuff. So stay tuned for the next video, and we'll kind of use this template to kind of go into further detail on things that within Excel that are more exciting and a little bit more beneficial. But here are just the basics for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Leave some comments below if you're looking for any future videos on Excel. I know this is very basic stuff, but if you have more advanced questions, just feel free to shoot a comment and I can try to make a video about that. All right, sounds good. Thanks for watching.